TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another edition of JJ and Alex right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jazz game day, 6 o'clock, sharp, pregame right here on the Jazz Radio Network and your home of the Utah Jazz. You're going to get the breakdown of the Bulls versus the Utah Jazz. How's this thing going to roll out? We don't know. I don't know what the rest of the season looks like, but JJ is hoping that they don't get more than 5 wins. Aren't you on record as that? Isn't that what you said?
I'm not
hoping. They already got one.
I'm predicting.
They already got one. They only need 4 more to beat your look, Jazz fans, just go after JJ. Look, he's the one who said
Take it out on me.
He doesn't want the Jazz to win anymore. Wants that draft pick to be conveyed.
I don't want to hear the word convey. We're not giving that pick up.
Let's go from one draft to another here. Let's go to the NFL. Justin Melo of the Draft Network joining us here on the program. Justin, thanks for being with us.
Pleasure's all mine, guys. With the combine in the rearview mirror, it's a good time to talk some NFL draft.
It's never not a good time in our world because we're fans of the way too early lists. We're fans of as many mock drafts as anybody will throw at me. We're all about all of it. Let's talk about the combine. Let's get to some of the finer points. When you look at the combine and you see maybe the deepest quarterback class we've seen in a long time, but a lot of these guys are like, hey, you know what? We don't need to do any of this. Who kind of made a case for themselves? Because now we're starting to see a little bit of shuffling around, the rumors. Who knows who's planting those rumors about which quarterbacks will go where? But with this quarterback class, is it the deepest one you've seen?
I don't know that it's the deepest I've ever seen. I mean, I think we tend to get excited. If you go back and remember the Sam Darnold class, there was a lot of excitement over that one. But I do think it's a deep, good class. Regarding who won, I mean, I think anytime guys opt out, you look at the guy that performed, that's the consensus highest ranking, right? That was in attendance, and that was Michigan's J.J. McCarthy. Right, he took advantage. He knew, Jaden, Caleb, and Drake weren't really going to do anything. Mm-hmm. So he went out there and he did some good stuff. I actually thought his biggest win was before he even took the field. It was during the weigh-in process. I'd love to know how many Happy Meals he ate to get up to 219. I think Michigan had him listed at like 201 or 202. But the teams like seeing it regardless, right, or how many rocks he had in the pockets. We've heard all kinds of crazy stories throughout the years, but 219 was a great weight for him, showed that he can bulk up and get to a weight that the NFL teams would prefer him to play at the next level.
Caleb Williams didn't do any of the events or anything, but he was there, and it sounds like he did make his presence felt there. What did Caleb Williams do to help or hurt himself? Is there any chance that that he could slip at all? What did he gain by being there and being part of the combine in the way that he was?
I don't think anything changed, right?
Yeah.
I think if we're all honest with each other, there's the acknowledgement that there are very few players who could do what he did, but he's one of them. Him and Marvin Harrison Jr. said, you know what? We're very good. We know we're very good. You want to draft us. It's a privilege for you to draft us and take it as it is. So I don't think he hurt or helped himself per se. I still think he's going number 1 overall. I still think that's going to be the Chicago Bears. In fact, I give him a little credit for the way he handled the situation. I've been doing this long enough now where any agent, any player you talk to about the combine, they're always going to complain about the medical checks. Okay, all 32 teams want to check you out individually. They take their sweet time. Unprecedented for Caleb Williams to walk in there and say no. How about the teams that have a chance to draft me get to check me out, and the others don't? And you know what? Power to him. What does he have to gain by letting the Kansas City Chiefs doctor check him out for an hour medically? True. Are the Kansas City Chiefs moving on from Patrick Mahomes and trading up to number 1 overall to draft Caleb Williams? No. If anything, they're stacking intel for when they play him because they know they're not going to draft him. You can say that, are the Houston Texans moving on from C.J. Stroud and drafting Caleb Williams and he should spend an hour and a half with their team doctor? No. Good for him for saying, you know what? there are like 5 teams that have even a realistic percent chance to draft me, and it's probably only one of them, right? It's probably the one that's picking number 1. So let's let these 5 or 6 teams, and we don't know how many it was exactly, but let's let these 5 or 6 teams check me out medically, and the rest can kick rocks.
Justin Melo from the Draft Network joining us here as we talk a little bit of the draft and what this could look like. Based off of combine numbers, what's the most important thing that, that any of these players who go to the combine, what do GMs really care about the most? I mean, we hear so much about the 40 times, and a lot of times you get really, really fast 40 times from guys who don't really make it in the league. So there's a little bit of a, who cares factor. But what's the stuff that GMs really find out at combines to be able to be around these guys?
Well, I think there's a slightly different answer for every position, right? But certainly with O-linemen, the 40 certainly does not matter. But the 10-yard split might show some of that early explosion out of a stance, right? I think that's pretty useful. The agility stuff, lower body explosion, I think is very important. When receivers, the 40 is exciting, and it don't get me wrong, it matters a little, right? Certainly. But again, the 10-yard split is big there. When they run the on-field, the gauntlet drill is awesome, right? Because you really see them in a natural football environment, how smooth they look. Like, that's why advanced route runners are usually the ones that look great running that gauntlet drill. Like, that's why Georgia's Lad McConkey was probably the best one that did it. He's one of the best route runners in the class. And I think if Malik Neighbors did it, he would have looked really good. Roma Dunze looked really, really good. But every position, I think there's a slightly different answer. Like the 40, I land somewhere in the middle. People like to pretend it doesn't matter, but you can't tell me that, we all knew Xavier Worthy was fast, right? It's great he broke the record. That was awesome. We knew he was fast. When I look at a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., and I look at a guy like A.D. Mitchell from Texas, 6'2", 209, running a 4.33 and a 4.34. That matters to me a little.
Right.
When you're that size and you showcase that kind of vertical speed, they're only the 2 of them, Thomas Jr. and Mitchell, they're the second and third receivers since 2015 to measure at that size, weigh in at that size, and run a 4.34 or better. And the other one was DK Metcalf, by the way. It mattered for him, right? We've seen that translate to Sundays, right? Where he's a big-bodied vertical guy, really hard to keep pace with stride for stride. So there are instances where it matters. I think that's a really good example, the 2 of them there. And I think they probably solidified themselves as top 20 picks, largely due to that 40 time. So the answer is slightly different for every position, but the 40 certainly matters for some players.
Well, we had a lot of interest in the BYU and Utah players that were at the Combine, 9 total. Some of the biggest names out of that group, we'll start with one, Kingsley Suamataia, offensive tackle at BYU. How did he perform in the Combine? Did he help himself?
I thought he performed quite well. In fact, I thought he was really impressive at the podium when he spoke the day before testing. I thought that was probably the best thing he did. He talked about learning to write with his other hand, just because how it helps him with coordination and boxing from a young age, because, again, like the hand-eye coordination, I thought he was an extremely impressive young man. He tested as advertised, the 40. And it's funny, I talked to some people, I was a little disappointed. I thought he was a bit of a better athlete. I think the expectations were maybe a little too high, because if you use relative athletic score, Math Bomb, terrific invention several years ago, he does outstanding work. He scored a 9.35 out of 10. Kingsley did, right? He ran the 40 in 5.04. Okay, somewhat, I thought he was going to hit the high 4.9, big deal. The 10-yard split was like mid-170s, was really, really good. The broad jump was outstanding at 9'2". The vertical left a lot to be desired at 28 inches, but he benched 31 reps. That's crazy at 326 pounds. 31 reps, keep in mind, too, the longer the arms get, sometimes the tougher that is, right? So he benches 31 reps with 24.25-inch arms, really, really impressive. So I thought he had a great day. My opinion on him personally hasn't changed. Late first, early second, that's the range for him.
If you are a University of Utah fan, which we have a lot of course, to listen to our station here in Salt Lake, guys like Cole Bishop, guys like Sione Vaki, there's a lot of interest there. What do guys like Cole Bishop and Sione Vaki, where do they fit? Because there's so many guys at every one of those positions, it feels like, and you go, man, it's just it's so many guys that are trying to make a name for themselves on a day like that or in a couple of days like that. But do guys like Cole Bishop stand out because he's not really a numbers guy, but he is an insane player and he's an All-American. And Sione Vaki is as explosive as the guys we've seen. So what did they do for themselves in the draft or for the draft?
Well, Cole had a really good day testing-wise, right? He ran the 40 in 4.45. I mean, that's outstanding, right? The vertical 39-inch, I mean, almost clearing 40 inches is crazy. Everything he did was really, like, the broad jump was like, quote-unquote, his worst result, and it was a 10-4. So I thought Cole had a really, really good day. You watch him on tape. With Cole, and, I think tough physicality instincts is very obvious right off the bat with him. I'll admit, my concerns with him is sort of the further he gets away from the box and the line of scrimmage, and this is a really athletic league. I don't know that he's going to thrive in man coverage. I don't know that he has the profile to cover slots and tight ends at the next level, but he's an outstanding tackler. He's extremely tough and physical, as I said, high football IQ, and those instincts, they're best utilized near the line of scrimmage. So I think he's going to find a role for himself at the next level, Cole Bishop will. I don't think it's going to be playing in the post. I don't think it's going to be as a single high type, but I do think he's going to be a very usable safety, again, particularly near the line of scrimmage. And I'm excited to see how it plays out for him because I'm expecting – I've spoken to him recently, really smart kid, knows football at the highest level imaginable. I think he's going to carve out a really nice career for himself.
Versatility is becoming important again in college football especially, but now even in the NFL. And Sione Vaki's as versatile as they come, playing on offense and defense at a very high level last year for the Utes. How much do NFL teams value what he brings, his ability to play on both sides of the ball?
Well, it's a tough question because, in all honesty, when was the last time we saw an NFL player truly play on both sides of the ball, right? Like, I remember when the Titans drafted Adoree Jackson, like, he had done some of that at USC, and he was a dynamic guy in the special teams game. And the Titans, like, that first year, they flirted with it. It's a lot to put on a guy's plate. Like, I don't think the average fan realizes how stark the transition is from college football to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Like, it is so different. There is so much you are putting on their plates from a football IQ perspective, a playbook perspective. Now, asking them to do it on both sides, virtually unheard of, right? It's just not – it's not a great way to set your rookie up for success. So I don't anticipate he's going to do a lot of that at the next level, but that doesn't mean he can't carve out a career for himself. I mean, you turn the tape on speed, toughness, versatility that you mentioned. Like, he's a good safety, right? I don't think he has to play right away. I know teams asked him to go through the drills at the combine because some of them might see him as a running back, right? And that's up to all 32 teams to sort through it. And guess what? They're not going to be in universal agreement. Some teams are going to think he's only a running back. Others are going to think he's a safety. One or two of them are probably going to say, hey, this kid's smart enough. I think he can do both. But I think realistically, his best chance for carving out a career for himself is going to be on defense and on special teams as a gunner. And I think he can play safety. I think he offers something as a third safety, a rotational guy. He's a good player, man, explosive athlete. I think straight line speed is there. He's got, pretty good size for safety as well. Arm length is one thing that's lacking. He didn't have the greatest day at the combine, but I think he's a better football player than he is athlete. And so I'm not super into the whole two-way thing, but that doesn't mean I don't think he can't be a good player at the next level. I think he can carve out a role for himself at safety.
I'm going to ask one quick one here before we get you out here, Justin. And this is all phenomenal stuff. The energy he brings, amazing. I love it. So the one thing that we were wondering was how Kedon Slovis was going to do. He had an insane 40 time, I think, at 4.55. Like, we did not see that guy at BYU. That's a guy who fell considerably in his last couple of years in terms of performance. Is he a prospect still on the radar for a bunch of these GMs? Obviously, would be if he's invited to combine.
I mean, I'll say one thing. Who had money on Kedon Slovis running a faster 40 time than Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman? Because that did happen. I mean, crazy, unbelievable, right? Did not see that coming at all. Look, we talked about it being a deep class. No, I don't think there's a whole lot of intrigue there right now. Look, day 3, teams have started throwing those darts at the board a lot more frequently lately over these last year or two. And you know why that is? I'll be honest with you, some of it. Brock Purdy, right? Like, you've seen what San Francisco got out of Brock Purdy on day 3. Wow, this is totally worth the gamble, right? High IQ football player that can sling the pill. Let's take a chance on a guy, because if you hit on a guy that – look at San Francisco. The Jimmy Garoppolo mistake should have been catastrophic. The Trey Lance mistake should have been catastrophic. They're not catastrophic because they hit on friggin' Mr. Irrelevant, right? They got a quarterback with the last pick in the draft, and all is well, and we're playing for Super Bowls, and we're annual contenders. What are you going to do? Take a kicker in the 7th round? Take a number 5 inside linebacker in the 7th round? No, you might as well take a chance on a quarterback, right? I think teams are learning that, and they learned it the hard way through San Francisco. So I think there's a good chance he gets drafted. I think if he doesn't get drafted, he's a high priority. We call them PFAs, right? Priority free agent. So I think he's gonna get a chance to compete in training camp. But we both said it. This class is deep at quarterback. He's not the one that's going to go in the 3rd or 4th round. Maybe once we get to that 6th round range, teams start thinking about it. But I think at this point, I'd ultimately expect him to be a PFA.
All right, Justin Melo, the Draft Network. Good stuff, Justin. We appreciate it. And when we get closer here, or maybe in the post-draft world, we'll be able to dip back in again. So we appreciate it, man. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure as always. You know where to find me.
There you go. Justin Melo, the Draft Network. We're going to take a break. It made it sound like he was picking a fight with you, JJ.
Picking a fight with me?
He's all, you know where to find me, dude. He's all, I'm right here.
Oh, just
call me up. You know where to find me, JJ.
There you go. Well,
talking some trash about Cole Bishop not being able to cover the post. How dare you? Might be right.
It's a good evaluation. He did a great job.
Really, really good. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll come back. Got some sound to listen to still from spring football for BYU. Our little update. We'll bring it to you next. Stay right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.